Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of Red Riders Viewers Rides. I hope everybody's doing well today and thank you all for being here. Anybody who's not seen one of these episodes before, I'll give you a quick rundown of what they are about. So in these Red Riders Viewers Rides episodes, it's kind of a spin-off of the Easy Riders Readers Rides or In the Wind section that they used to do in their magazine. Some of you guys might remember that. But basically, it's an opportunity for my YouTube audience to share their motorcycle or their ride with other people in the audience. So you can send me photos of your motorcycle and I will put them in an episode on my channel. And then everybody kind of has fun down in the comments just talking about each other's bikes and checking out the cool bikes that we get in. And if you want to know how to participate in one of these episodes, you can either read the description of this video or you can wait till the end of the video and I'll tell you exactly how to do that. I'm not going to blabber too much before we get into the slideshow, guys, but I do want to remind you all about Shovel Fest coming up at the end of July. I've not talked about it very much this year, mostly because of my move, and I've just not been very organized since then. But Shovel Fest is happening and I will still be there, hopefully with my shovel head if it's not in pieces at the time. My shovel head is in desperate need of work, so I'm not too sure how much I'm gonna get out with it this year, but I will be there nonetheless and I hope to see a bunch of you guys there. It is July 27th or 26th, I think maybe is the meet and greet. I will put all the information for that and a link to their Facebook page in the description of this video also, guys. So just remember to come to Shovel Fest end of July in Creston Valley, BC. It's very close to the border, guys, so I hope a bunch of you guys are planning on riding over, coming to meet me, coming to meet a whole bunch of cool people, and coming to check out a whole bunch of cool bikes. Okay, now I'm not gonna blabber anymore until we get into the slideshow, so let's get into the slideshow. Most of you who've watched these already know that all I do while you all look at photos of cool motorcycles is just sit here and blabber my little face off in the background. Normally not about anything in particular. Most of the time when I make these episodes, I don't even know what the heck I'm going to talk about when I start talking, but somehow I always end up being able to talk for an entire episode. And I don't know how I do that, if it's a gift or a curse or what, but it happens. Normally, actually, I guess I'm just kind of updating you guys on what's been going on in my life. Not really my life, but my garage life, my motorcycle life more than anything. And a bunch of you probably watched the first video of me working on Charlie's bike. Charlie's my friend and Charlie actually lives in Creston where Shovel Fest happens, and he drove all the way up here during the winter to help me move my shop, and he pulled a trailer here over the mountains and came help me move my garage. So as a trade-off to him, I offered to replace the transmission in his Harley that he has just not had time to get to because he's always out of town working. So I'm working on doing a tranny swap in Charlie's U-built. I guess it would be considered kind of like an FX, but it's kind of a copy of that style, but it's got a U-built frame, it's got an engine with Delcron cases and some other aftermarket jugs and heads on it. But anyways, it's basically an Evo with a 4-speed. So I am swapping out his rotary top transmission or turbine top transmission for a ratchet top transmission of the same kind of era. They're both electric start transmissions, so the swap over should be pretty simple, all things considered. But when you actually look closely and start taking things apart and considering all things, you realize that no simple job on a project motorcycle that nobody has worked on for years is ever simple. And I am discovering that, and I feel like I discover that every time I work on a motorcycle that is Harley that has been a project. So Charlie bought this motorcycle from a guy who got it off his brother, whose brother had the engine built, and then I think his brother put the bike together, and then the guy who Charlie bought it off of ended up with the motorcycle. I don't think he ever did anything with it because he had a bad back. He wasn't going to be able to ride it anyways. He ended up buying himself an old man bike and just came to the conclusion that he had to sell this one. So it came up and I knew the dad of these two brothers. I worked with him at Harley, so I got Charlie in touch with him because Charlie was on the market market for another motorcycle. He was looking for a Harley that he could ride long distances and go faster than he was able to go on his old tired WLA. So I got him in touch with those guys. He got this bike for a pretty good deal. It was a decent deal. Like, I would have definitely jumped on it if I would have had the money at the time, but I was happy to pass the deal on to Charlie. Little did I know I would be stuck dealing with some of the problems in the future. So I tore this transmission out, and oh my gosh guys, it was a chore and a half just getting some of the nuts loose that were done up way too tight. The clutch hub nut, well, I had to undo that with an impact, which wasn't really a problem. I just needed a little tiny impact gun to undo that. But the clutch was pushed onto the main shaft so hard, guys, that Charlie had to actually build a massive heavy duty puller, and I had to use a giant impact gun to be able to run the puller and pull the clutch off of the main shaft because it had just been pushed on so hard. I broke my dad's gym's bearing puller, which is a fine puller for pulling this style of clutch off if it's not done up too tight. This is the kind of puller that I use to pull my own clutch off on my shovel head because it's the same style as Charlie's, and it's normally just a couple little turns with the wrench, get some tension under it, smack it with a hammer, and it pops right off. That was not the case with Charlie's. It was a nightmare to undo. Same with the compensating sprocket nut. I did not want to have to use an impact gun on that, so I just used my big brother, big in more ways than one, and he was able to undo it with the help of a 3-foot snipe or a 3-foot cheater bar, whatever you want to call it, and me just holding things, well, actually just holding the socket onto the compensator nut so it didn't fall off when my brother was trying to use all of his body weight to undo it. So the bike is in pieces now, and I'm actually waiting on some parts. Actually, I need to order a part. I need to order the locking plate that the stock Harleys would have on the stator, because this stator, when I took the rotor off, the stator was just in there loose, flopping all over the place, broken coils. Every single screw that was holding it on the case at one point was torn out of the case, so we have to repair this now. So we're gonna do what we can, but I need to order the locking plate that would go on the stator because this one never had the locking plate, and all of the screws that were going into the case were actually only catching like half of the thread that is actually in the case for bolting the stator down. So what I've done is I went and actually bought longer screws that are the same thread pitch. I found some button head style ones like they would have originally used that have a flat head slot on them. So now I need to order the locking plate. You can get the locking plate kit from Drake's Specialties, but it comes with the short Allen head screws that they sell the stator with, and I don't know why Drake's Specialties sells it with these short Allen head screws and no locking plate. I honestly don't know why, guys, and I don't know if they switched to that at some point with Harley, like, or if the stock ones always use the flathead style with the locking screws. I don't really know, guys, but whatever is going on with these Drake Specialties stators, I'm not happy with how little thread these screws are actually catching to screw the stator on. And I don't know what the heck the guy who put this bike together did, if he just didn't do the screws up or if he didn't Loctite them or what the heck's going on, but they were torn right out of the case and the stator was just in there loose. Only even one wire was even attached to the stator anymore because of it flying around in there. So needless to say, this bike has definitely turned into a way bigger project than I was anticipating, and I'm pretty sure that any of you guys who've worked on any secondhand motorcycle, any secondhand vehicle actually for that matter, knows that when it's had multiple owners, or just depending on who the previous owner was, you can find some pretty dumb stuff that's been done. And guys, I don't mean to call anybody stupid or anything like that, but seriously, some of the stuff that some people do, there's no other way to describe it other than it was just plain stupid. But we're getting there with Charlie's bike. Pretty sure I've discovered everything that could be an issue, and at this point it's just a matter of assembly, and we're just gonna hope and pray that everything goes well and that everything is perfectly functioning by the time that we're done, and I have confidence that it will be. So that's the lowdown with Charlie's bike, guys. There's still a lot of other stuff that I need to do. My bikes actually don't need a whole bunch of, you know, crazy work done to them. My shovel head mostly just needs to be taken apart and gone over because it's just kind of been like a fresh project that was put on the road and just been ridden and hasn't really had anything like taken apart and checked out, and you know, that regular kind of stuff that you should do, guys, especially when you're riding a motorcycle that's basically a prototype because it's a one-of-a-kind custom build. There's just certain things that you want to check and stuff. But my bike's been good to me like this whole time. Like for the last 6-7 seasons that I've been riding it, I haven't had any issues. I haven't had any breakdowns. I think the only thing that failed on me was the cheesy clutch release finger in my kicker cover that ended up breaking like on my block right after I left home. So that's pretty much the only time my bike's let me down. I guess I'm just having an inner conflict and I feel like I should take it off the road. I also don't want to. Anyway, guys, I feel like I have blabbered on for the entire time that it would probably take this slideshow to go through. I never really know how much time I have to blabber, so I just blabber and we see where it gets us. But I hope that you guys enjoyed my blabbering, and maybe you guys can kind of like relate to some of my conundrums with my motorcycles, or with the motorcycles that I've got in my garage at this point. I'm slowly getting back into the swing of the YouTube stuff, guys, since my move. Anyone who's been here for a while knows that I don't have a schedule for when I release videos. It's just kind of when I get a chance to make and edit a video, then I put it out. And I honestly don't really know if I will ever be on a schedule for my videos. So I like keeping you guys on your toes, and I like surprising you all with random drop videos whenever you guys are least expecting it. So that is probably just how I will continue to do things. And if you don't like that, I'm sorry, but you won't have to watch either. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the slideshow, and thank you to everybody who's participated by sending in their photos or just by watching. And if you want to have your bike in one of these episodes, guys, then just make sure you email me pictures to the email in the description of this video. Make sure your photos are not screenshots. Make sure they're large, clear photos. By large, I mean like a big pixel count or however many gigabytes, a lot of gigabytes. And just tell me some information about your bike, a little bit of information about yourself, like where you're from and your first name mostly, and we can all be a community and look at each other's bikes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and like always, my lovely YouTube people, if you like what you see, or if you just like me, or even if you don't like me but you like my bikes, then like, comment, subscribe, do all those things you guys do, and like always, I will catch y'all on the flip side. Peace. Like always, my lovely vehicle angel, we don't do four-wheeled vehicle